Hello, thanks for watching this Be Engaged training video. In this video, we're going to be talking all about officer transitions and the processes or things you should have in place or should do before you have new staff coming into your office who will be expected to use Be Engaged, or before you transition or during your transition from one executive board of your club to the next. Everything we're going to talk about is going to be, as opposed to in the system, we're going to really be running through this officer transitions checklist our office put together. But everything on the checklist, or almost everything, you'll have to have a group and Be Engaged, and you'll have to have officer access of that group to utilize these things. So if you need a group created for you, or you need officer access to a group, feel free to email us at beengaged@binghamton.edu. Now, the first item on our checklist is to add any new officers from your office or your group to your Be Engaged group. And we've broken down steps for how to do that here. And to do that, you'll head into your group from the home dashboard. You'll click Officers, which you can also find under Dashboard. And you'll see other officers listed. But to add new officers, you'll click this brown Add Officer button. And you'll be able to search for your new officers by name or by email in this search bar, and then click Add. If you, for some reason, can't find the people you're trying to add, whether you search by name or email, feel free to send us an email and we can look into that for you. The next item on our checklist is to create or pass over any internal materials that will help the new staff members or new executive board to utilize Be Engaged. We know a lot of student groups have manuals for new people to read once they start in a new position, and staff members have those too when they start in a new job on campus. And if you don't have anything regarding Be Engaged or haven't written out exactly how your group or your office is utilizing Be Engaged, we'd highly recommend doing that so that it's on the books and that you can pass it off very easily to the next person. And if you need help or if you need materials and you don't really know where to start, we'd be more than happy to help with that. So again, just send us an email. The third item on our checklist is to have new officers attend a general training and or a feature-specific training for Be Engaged. So every month we offer a general training, which takes users, new officers, or officers who aren't familiar with Be Engaged through the main features of the system and how they can utilize them. We also offer 1 or 2 feature-specific trainings every month along with the general training, depending on how long the month is and how much interest we get from specific offices or groups about that training. So if you click this link right here on our officer transition checklist, it'll bring you to the full list of all of our upcoming trainings. This is always updated. We plan these out months ahead of time. And you can click register and sign up on the event page. The third item on our checklist is to make sure any forms or surveys on Google Forms or SurveyMonkey are moved to Be Engaged. We know a lot of offices and a lot of groups on campus rely on tools outside of Be Engaged to complete their normal processes, which is great. We always recommend using the tools that are most useful and fit your group's or office's needs the most. However, Be Engaged is one of those tools. So if you've been parsing out your surveys and forms between Google Forms and SurveyMonkey or the Doodle Scheduler, whatever it might be, you can transition those to Be Engaged. You can recreate them in Be Engaged in our surveys and forms builder, which is super easy to find in your group. If you head to your group, it's got its own section on the left-hand menu. And from there, you'll click Create and Get Started once you decide what you want to create. Here, you can start editing and adding things to your forms or surveys. The next item on our checklist is to set up a meeting with the former Be Engaged point person to decide what additional training is needed. So if you're that outgoing Be Engaged point person and you want to meet with your incoming Be Engaged point person to talk about trainings, that would definitely be the time to do it during this transition period. And obviously, you can contact our office to figure out what trainings are coming up or how to access that training link if you can't find it for some reason. And we'd also be happy to meet with you and your incoming Be Engaged point person to figure out what training is needed. And if you want to just do a one-on-one training or if you want to set up a few meetings, either option works for us. Just make sure that you have that squared away. And the last item on our checklist is to verify your current attendance tracking structure within your office or your group and set up a meeting to brainstorm ways that you can be using the attendance tracking features in Be Engaged. You'd be setting up that meeting with us, and we'd be happy to run through all of the options for you. We have a bunch of the options listed here. So for example, there's a lot of self-check-in options for events. So attendees can scan your event's QR code, since every event in Be Engaged has a QR code associated with it. They can also scan the event kiosk QR code, which is just another way to check people in. As an event host, you can scan your users or your attendees' QR codes. Those are listed in the Campus Groups app, but they're also listed on the email confirmation everybody receives when they register for an event and Be Engaged. You can also scan attendee ID cards with the Campus Groups app. You can swipe people in using a card reader that our office can lend out to you. There's so many options, and this is the time to really see what you've been doing until now and to figure out what you want to do going forward and how you can better utilize Be Engaged and make your lives easier, especially if you're an office or a group that hosts a lot of events and you want to have a specific process in place. This is definitely the time to figure that process out. And we highly recommend you reaching out for help or for resources or for card readers if you do want to borrow something from us, from our office. So this is the office transition checklist, which is a bit different than the student group checklist. So you can see the first item on the student group checklist is to register or re-register your organization on Be Engaged by filling out the appropriate form. So if you're a student association organization, for example, you know when the re-registration process is. It's typically around that time of transitions where you have to set your group up and get everything squared away so that the student association office knows who your incoming executive officers are and they know who to contact when things start happening and the semester really gets rolling. So that's the first item on the student checklist. The second item is to add new officers, which we talked about. The next is to create and or pass over any internal training materials. The next item is to have new officers attend a general and or feature specific training, which we talked about, and everything's listed there. The next item, make sure any forms or surveys are moved over to Be Engaged. The next item, setting up a meeting with your former Be Engaged point person, or like I said, if you are that Be Engaged point person, with your new Be Engaged point person to decide on additional training or if you have any questions. And then the attendance tracking item, that was on the other checklist isn't on this checklist, since student groups often have a variety of ways that they're checking people into their events when they're happening, and there isn't really a set process. They kind of do it on the fly, depending on how many people are coming to their events or what tools they have at their disposal at that event. But it still applies. I would say it's definitely something to think about and consider. And that kind of flows into the last item of this checklist, which is to contact or set up a meeting with our office to brainstorm additional ways your organization can be using Be Engaged. So attendance tracking, consistent attendance tracking would be one of those things if that's something that you want to do and want to start utilizing Be Engaged for. But there's also a lot of other features that the system offers that maybe you're not taking advantage of, like the group page or like the tracks and checklists feature, the badges feature. There's a ton of things that the system does outside of just creating events, tracking attendance at those events, and sending emails, which I would say are the three biggest things our campus is using Be Engaged for. But outside, even though those are important, outside of those things, the system is super robust and there's a lot of options for what you can utilize the system for. So we'd be happy to chat if you have questions. And if you want to request these checklists, if you want both or if you want one or the other, feel free to email us. You can send us an email that was beengaged@binghamton.edu. And we'd be happy to talk more, provide additional resources, context, help, whatever we can do to ensure your group's process is maintained and that you're still up and running from one executive board to the next, or if you're in office, from one outgoing person to the new incoming person. So thanks for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.